our company motto has always been, guns don't have to be loud. That's, you know, you'll see it on signs around the office. You'll see it in our value statement anytime we put out content or a press release. I mean, that's fundamentally what we believe. And the other biggest thing that we've always talked about, and you'll see through our kind of Fight the Noise campaign, is these things are unnecessarily regulated. And one of the reasons we fight for advocacy and educate the consumer is a silencer is the most highly regulated consumer product you can buy. There's a tax stamp, there's fingerprints, there's photographs, there's a wait period, all for something that's not inherently dangerous. So we always are constantly trying to educate on both fronts. What are the values of a silencer? What are the benefits? And that you can buy them. I would say our single biggest marketing piece of collateral we've ever put out, and we put out year over year, is a booklet called Silencers Are Legal. Just letting people know, oh, I can have one of those, has always been a very powerful message because it's unknown.
This week, we're in West Valley City, Utah, and we're visiting Silencerco, a company that's not only known for its innovative products, but a company that is determined to help educate people about the realities of firearm suppressors and make hearing protection more accessible for all shooters.
Every product that we have come out with solves a problem, is how we look at it, right? So most silencers prior to us coming to the market, almost all of them were round. And when we came out with the Sparrow, it was round, but the problem we were trying to solve was how do we design a silencer that's easy to clean? Because that's the biggest problem in rimfire silencers. And we came up with a monocore design that had these two half pipes that it kind of gave the insulation to allow some room for it to breathe, to make it easier to get apart once it was dirty. So that was solving a problem. Every rimfire silencer gets dirty and it seals itself, and it's an issue for the shooter. The Osprey was about, hey, how about we go away from round? How about we take that same monocore concept, but we drop the bore axis so you can shoot and not have to get raised sights, right? And also you get more volume below the bore line so that it can be shorter potentially than a round silencer. So those kinds of, those are kind of the stair steps. When we look at where we are today, like the Maxim 9 and how we got there, it started with going non-round. Then you go non-round, you go into Salvo. Salvo is a shotgun silencer. We kind of looked at the shotgun silencer and we're like, how are we going to do this? You got this wad. How do you contain the wad? And you start porting a barrel, and then you realize that porting the barrel shaves the plastic, and then you got this thing full of plastic, and you're like, oh, but then we came up with this concept of rods, of 9 rods that will actually hold the wad in place. And then it was like, how do you choke the shot? Does the shot choke at the barrel still hold as long as you hold the wad together before it exits the end of the sound suppressor? And these are the kind of adventures that we like to go on.
We're on the range at Silencerco. I'm joined by Matt Pinnell from the marketing team, and we're looking at the Salvo 12. Now, this is an innovative shotgun suppressor, really a product we hadn't seen before until the Silencerco introduction, which was a couple years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. This was another product that people said couldn't be done, but that's kind of what we like to do. We like to do what people say we can't do.
Right.
So
a few of the features on here is that instead of one solid tube or one solid suppressor, this actually has multiple baffle components essentially that can be configured. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this version that you see here on the gun, this actually has one of the baffle stacks removed. So it comes at its full length here, which is 12 inches, and it's a really great design where there's some guide rails that run through the suppressor.
Yeah.
So you can remove those, take however many baffles out that you want, and bring it down to a total of 6 inches. So you can go anywhere from 6 inches up to 12 inches. Now, of course, the shorter the suppressor, the louder it's going to be.
Right.
So,
and for attachment, it looks like you basically just screw in a choke tube.
Yeah.
And that provides your attachment point for the suppressor.
Yep. As long as you don't have a fixed choke, if you have a choke that you can replace, it'll work on your shotgun. And we sell all the accessories that are compatible with all replaceable choke tubes. So just throw the choke tube on, and then you can attach your salvo. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, very cool. And makes not only does it reduce the noise, it also actually reduces that felt recoil.
It does. It plays a big role in that.
when someone first explains to you the process of buying a silencer, it's ridiculous. We are always trying to find ways to not just educate about product, but educate about process. We would love there to be a day at some point where that is no longer required, where a silencer is regulated like a rifle, for example, which is what some pending federal legislation, would like to change. But we also have to acknowledge the reality that it is today, and for the foreseeable future, these are still going to be highly regulated items, and we want to make that, the barrier to entry as easy as possible. What we often find with people when they buy their first silencer and they go through that experience, they get it, it's a lot easier. They get that first stamp back and they're like, okay, I did it right. I know what I need to do now. And usually when they pick up that first silencer, we see a lot of customers rebuy immediately.
I'm here at the range at Silencerco in West Valley, Utah, and I'm joined by Matt Pinnell. Matt, you're with the marketing team, and we're looking at really the biggest new introduction from Silencerco, which is the Maxim 9.
Yeah, so this is an intricately suppressed 9mm pistol. This version is the short version of the Maxim 9. When it comes out of the box, when the user actually buys it, it's about 1.5 inches longer. But like our Salvo 12 shotgun suppressor, the user has the ability to remove these guide rails, and they can take baffles out and then piece it back together.
Right, yeah, it's kind of an innovative design that we saw on that Salvo that kind of lets you adjust the suppression almost to your preference.
Yeah, absolutely. And now in this shorter configuration, it's hearing safe with subsonic ammo. Longer configuration, it's hearing safe with all factory ammo. A couple features that really make it stick out is the key mod on the bottom, so you can attach a rail, and also it's optics ready. There's an optics plate up here that you can remove.
Yeah, very cool. It does feed from Glock 17 magazine, so commonly available. I think that was a really smart move. One thing I will say is that this gun is incredibly light, especially compared to how it looks. Maybe it looks bigger than your typical semi-automatic pistol, but it feels really light in the hand. The ergonomics are quite good, and under recoil, it really wants to stay on target. I think that's because there's the material up front, but also you just have the slide assembly, which is, it is a shorter slide assembly than, say, a Springfield XD where the entire slide is going to reciprocate to the back. Here we just have this smaller assembly,
sure.
And it really wants to stay on target. So very impressive. I appreciate you showing this to us. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. Thanks for shooting.
Every silencer accessory is made here in West Valley, Utah, in the USA by American workers. We really believe in the vertical integration portion of this business. It's one of the pillars of our success. Over 30% of our customers are under 30, which is a demographic that doesn't really exist in many firearms companies. They're under 30 and they're buying their first or second silencer and they have less than 10 guns, and that's great. That means a guy is getting into shooting and getting into suppressors almost simultaneously. And that was kind of unheard of in the NFA world 10 years ago, where it was like only the guys who had owned every gun on earth already, then they get into NFA. So that's kind of been what we consider one of our success stories of the marketing campaign. We don't consider ourselves as marketing just for Silencerco. We consider ourselves as marketing for the entire NFA market writ large.